Okay, folks, I think we're going to get started. Again, thanks so much for joining us today. We do have an international audience. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. Just wanted to remind you that, or let you know that if you did want to ask a question, certainly feel free to do that in the chat feature. We'll pause at various junctures during the presentation to address your questions. Don't hesitate. Also, we are recording this session, and we can provide this to you or to your colleagues if you wish to hear this at a future time. My name is Joe L'Italian. I'm the VP of Sales for the Americas for Nanitor. I'll be your host today. We are really fortunate to be joined by John Taylor. He's our CEO and leader here at Nanitor. And so we're pretty excited about sharing this presentation with you today on don't let vulnerabilities sneak up on you, turn on the night vision of vulnerability management. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what Nanitor does is we help you see in the dark. And so basically what Nanitor provides is next level vulnerability management that really helps you to shed light on your IT infrastructure to really get ahead of those pesky vulnerabilities that otherwise would be hard to see. First and foremost, Nanitor is built with simplicity embedded across every stage, from integration and setup to analysis, reporting, auditing, compliance, and a lot more. Straight up, Nanitor helps keep your assets and systems healthy and secure to give you less things to keep you awake at night. So with that brief introduction, I'm going to turn things over to John Taylor. John's our leader, CEO here at Nanitor, and he's going to say a few words, and then he's going to show you some slides and then also get into a demo. And as mentioned, certainly feel free to give us any questions that you have or any comments. Really always happy to address those. So thanks so much, and it's off to you, John.
Yes. Thank you, Joe. I hope you can hear me okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so good morning, afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first webinar by Nanitor. And like Joe said, this is titled Don't Let the Vulnerabilities Sneak Up on You, Turn on the Night Vision of Vulnerability Management. My name is John Taylor, and I head up Nanitor here in Iceland. So I'm the CEO. Been with the company from the beginning, so almost 9 years. And we have been very diligent in creating the solution over the last few years, and I look forward to showing you a bit about that. So in this webinar, I'm going to talk about the risks of cybersecurity or cyber vulnerabilities, and how the Nanitor vulnerability management solution can actually help you gain visibility to your cyber attack surface, and how you can effectively manage cyber risk with Nanitor. And like Joe said, if you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to share it in the chat, and we'll address them as and when we can see them. So with that, let's get into it. A few slides, and then we'll do a demo of what we do here. Now, basically, cyber vulnerabilities, as you all know, there's a serious risk to any IT environment. According to the study by Gartner, 60% of mid-size companies worldwide, they have no vulnerability management program in place. And by 2025, it's expected that more than 70% of these same companies will have been breached using a known vulnerability. Now, these breaches are something that you can and you should be proactively trying to prevent. But that's only half the story. The vulnerabilities, this is growing fast, and over 61% of small to mid-size businesses are have reported a cyber attack in, let's say, in 2019, as reported by the Ponemon Institute. The digital cyber landscape is fraught with threats of cybercrime, in particular the small to medium-sized enterprises. And the problem is only growing. Cyber vulnerabilities are growing on a day-by-day basis, as you see in this graph. And currently, there are more than 200,000 CVEs or vulnerabilities registered with NIST, the National Vulnerability Database. And this number is growing by thousands each month, around 3,000 each month this year. This, coupled with the shortage of cybersecurity personnel, but it's estimated that more than 3.5 million new cybersecurity experts are required worldwide. This is an insurmountable number of people, and it's clear that we need to focus on easy-to-use solutions that help you understand the cybersecurity landscape, your cybersecurity landscape, and how you can effectively address that and address these cyber concerns. Now, you don't do that with with varied cybersecurity platforms. You need a holistic solution to do that, and that's exactly why we developed Nanitor. Nanitor is a holistic vulnerability and exposure management system that's easy to use, easy to deploy, user-friendly, and delivers value from the get-go. With Nanitor, you don't need any other legacy tools. You don't need any other third-party tools. This is a single solution that delivers all the benefit that you need from such a system. And you don't need to integrate or have any clunky dashboards or confusing insights. This is all designed to be a single easy-to-use platform that's designed for small to medium businesses in particular, suitable for enterprises as well, but in helping you understand your risks and giving you detailed information on how to address them. Now, vulnerability management made easy. This is kind of a slogan. And with Nanitor, we enable you to identify your cybersecurity exposures and vulnerabilities, including your 0 days, missing security patches, and security configurations, all against the best practices, guidances, and and incorporating your own technical policy. All issues are identified, risk rated, and prioritized using our state-of-the-art prioritization and the Nanitor Diamond approach, which I'm going to show you. You can even help. We can even help you search for PII data or personally identifiable information, such as credit card information, which is part of, let's say, the PCI regulations, national security IDs, etc., in your environment, all as part of this single platform. Now, I've kind of gone through this before, but this is a very comprehensive and easy to use vulnerability management solution. So, and with Nanitor, we identify all your assets and we risk rate them, detect the vulnerabilities, the missing security patches, security misconfigurations, user privilege issues, software issues, and device issues. And it's an asset-centric approach. So the asset is always the center of this. And we are with Nanitor, we are closing the gap on vulnerabilities. So like you saw in this animation that we just had before, we're closing the gap where this scrupulous guy does not get in through your defenses. With Nanitor, we also report against your technical policy. We understand what your most critical issues are, and we give you reporting on your organizational health score. This has never been so easy before. With Nanitor, this is one of the views, and I'm going to go into more detail. But we also provide you detailed health reporting, health score reporting, which you can use to identify how your organization is holding up in terms of cyber health, and also understanding what is the next thing you need to improve so that you can effectively address your cybersecurity health. Now, the platform itself is very diverse, and we support a wide range of platforms, including desktops, servers, network devices, databases. And this is a single solution that allows you to continually monitor your entire IT infrastructure. Now, we do this in part with agents, lightweight agents that we deploy on your servers or desktops, or with collectors that we use to actually connect to your network devices, cloud environments, or databases. And this is a cloud solution as well, so this can actually work either as an on-premise solution or as an in the cloud solution. Okay. So with that, before I jump into a demo, are there any questions so far, or should we just?
Yeah, there's been a couple of questions. The first one is about deployment. How long does it take to deploy the Nanitor platform?
That's a great question. So the deployment of the Nanitor platform is relatively easy, depending on whether you do it in the cloud or on premise. If you're using the cloud version, you can be up and running literally in minutes. If you have, let's say, a small to mid-size deployment, let's say somewhere between 100 and 500 assets, you could effectively have that up and running within a day, and you will have results in the solution within that period. You can actually start hardening your systems and addressing security concerns. If it's an on-premise deployment, it takes a bit longer. You need to set up the actual server, but again, it's going to be within a couple of days. You'll be going, you'll be on the road.
The other question, and I'll stop here with this one. What skill level do admins need in order to implement and use the Nanitor platform? I mean, does it need a lot of letters behind their name in order to be able to use the Nanitor platform?
Yeah, the typical five letter acronyms. No, you don't need that. Of course, the more trained personnel you have, the better. But a entry level IT person is able to actually use our platform. We do provide a lot of guidance in the platform. So as soon as you have the agent distributed, the collectors configured, everything is actually already configured, and you can actually get going. Then when you look at the issues that we detect, and we talked about these security configuration, misconfigurations, the vulnerabilities, security patches, we do provide detailed remediation instructions for each of them. And we've actually just recently added a AI feature as well that helps you with even more detailed remediation instruction than we've seen before.
Awesome. On to the demo.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, just switching screens here. So, right. So this is the initial window to Nanitor, and this is what we call the Nanitor Diamond. The Nanitor Diamond is our prioritization view, and this is what actually gives us kind of the view to the most critical issues in your infrastructure and what you should be addressing first. But even though I started here, I just wanted to show you this is where you start, because this is where you get all the meat. But Nanitor is like I said, it's a comprehensive and holistic system. So this is all built on top of an asset inventory. Without asset inventory, you don't actually have any visibility into what systems, what devices you have. So one of the foundational strengths of Nanitor is that we have this inventory, and it's a source of truth. So this is always correct. We use then, like I indicated before, a mix of an agent or a collector to get to this data, and we retrieve information. For example, if I open up one of these about the assets, what are they, when were they created? We can actually label them, and this is done automatically. We give the details as to how the security score has changed over time. We have the risk rating for this particular system here, which is coming from the labels, and this is automatic. And then we have all the issues on this particular system. Oh, it's actually empty. Installed patches, etc. Oops. Sorry. The issues that we have here, the installed patches, the users, benchmarks that have been applied. So here we are looking at Windows 10. What group policies have been installed, what software is installed, what ports are open, etc. So very, very comprehensive information about each and every of your assets in your environment. And this is not regardless of operating system. I was looking at a Windows system before. Now we're looking at a Red Hat system. So we have the same information on all of them. Now, considering that statistics again, considering that more than 68% of small to medium-sized businesses don't actually conduct any kind of regular inventory audits, this is key. If you don't know what assets you have, there's no way for you to actually secure your environment. So with the Nanitor platform system, you actually gain a complete and comprehensive asset inventory that helps you, understand what you have. Okay, so from that, I want to move to the to the issue view. And so one thing was the inventory of assets. Also, we want to look at what issues are we detecting. And in this demonstration environment, we have detected about 350 issues, and they're of a wide variety. Anything from misconfiguration, patches, vulnerabilities, software, etc. We are identifying them and we are highlighting what they are, when they were opened, what is the priority of each of these issues, and the priority is actually coming from either the vulnerability database from NIST, from our best practices, or other sources. We're highlighting how many assets are affected by each and every of these issues. And we also have this nice feature of actually being able to put these issues into a project for remediation at a later date. And this gives you a lot of data to work with, and this is a prioritized list. So at the top, this is the most critical issue, and then towards the bottom, you will see them actually go down in score. So 100 is the priority score here, but going down to a very low number. Easy to navigate, easy to open. If I open up any of these issues, for example, one of these vulnerabilities that we had before, let's say this one, you will actually see that we have information about the vulnerabilities. We know what it is. We know what is affecting. We can see what asset it actually lives on, this vulnerability. We can see the details of the vulnerability. We can see the NIST scoring for that, so CVSS score for the CV, which is, for this particular vulnerability is quite high. It's 9.8 on a scale of 0 to 10. But in addition to this data, we're actually augmenting it with the EPSS score, which is from first.org. And the EPSS score is the exploit prediction scoring system. And this is an up-to-date database that tells us that there's a 46% likelihood of this vulnerability being exploited in the next 30 days. So with this data and other data that we have in the system, we're able to actually manipulate the risk rating of that to say this is maybe not the highest priority. There are other vulnerabilities out there that are higher prediction rating than this one. So that's why we're giving it a 6.7. We do provide you with all the activity for this issue. When did we detect it? What has changed over time? We give you information on how we detected it, and then we can tell you how we can fix it. And in this particular vulnerability, we know that there's a patch out by Microsoft that actually addresses this issue. And this is the same for any kind of issue that we detect. We always provide you with data about the vulnerability or misconfiguration. We tell you what it is, why it's an issue, and how to fix it. So a lot of nice data to work with to understand how you can actually address this. Now, with all of these issues, we are actually, you can see that we've rated them. You can see here in the diamond that we have prioritized them. And the prioritization that we're doing here is actually on a scale of 0 to 10. We're rating all of your vulnerabilities from a 0, which is down here, up to a 10 on this axis. But at the same time, we are looking at the impact on your assets. So your assets may be, more critical. Some assets may be more critical than others. You may have some production environment that's highly critical, so a 10, whereas you may have some, let's say, less important test systems, systems that basically are used sporadically, and they can be rated less. And this is done automatically again. But what this means is that every issue that's rated at 10 on a system that's rated at 10 will actually pop up here in our priority 0 quadrant. And this is telling us that these are the issues that should be addressed immediately. And this is helping you kind of prioritize your work so that you know that for these P0s, priority 0s, this is something that you want to keep empty. Then we have your priority 1s, which is living just slightly below that. And this can be your compliance issues. This is something because if you have, for example, you need to adhere to a ISO 27001 or a PCI requirement, NIST requirement, then this is something that you may have allowed yourself a bit longer time to actually achieve. And then you have P2, which could be something like typically your own technical policy, or basically stuff that you want to achieve, but you're giving yourself even longer time to actually achieve. And with that, you can always guide through the system to understand what it is and how you can actually address these and do it in a structured manner. Because like we said before, there's no point in trying to boil, well, we said before, there's no point in trying to boil the ocean here and do everything. You just need to focus on what's most important. There will be stuff that's sitting below this line on the diamond, and that stuff is something that's very likely going to be addressed by some of the patches, by some of the configuration changes that you will do to achieve the first P0, P1, P2. So we don't worry about these, but we show it to you for completeness. Another great feature of Nanitor is that we have the dashboard. And the health status dashboard shows you the health score of your organization. And in this particular case, you can see that this organization, which is our demo environment, is getting a score of a C. Now, the C is actually calculated from a variety of issue types that we have. So we talked about misconfigurations, patches, software user vulnerabilities, and also allows you to see how that is calculated. So we're currently doing a 73% of our expected policy, but we have a target of 81. We can see also from this view what are the most impactful issues. So basically, what do I need to do that's going to most do the best to improve my security score? And you can see also some trend metrics that show you how this has changed over time for individual issue types. What's nice about this as well, you can, because we have labels, and I haven't talked too much about them, but our assets are labeled. You can label them with production environment, with payment processing, with back office, whatever makes sense for your organization. But with that, you could have, for example, developers in a particular group. And if I look at just developers, you can see that my score changes, and I can actually see that in particular. So now I know that, basically, even though my organization is doing not well enough, the actual developer team is actually doing a lot better. This report is also then, can be exported to a PDF if you want to put it for your management team. Then you can export this and actually have a nice PDF report that you can actually show to them.
It's funny, I just had a question about that on reporting, so you're right there.
Yeah. So but this report we think is quite critical, because it's a report that tells management in kind of no uncertain terms that this is your status. Your organization is scoring a C in cybersecurity. It also tells them why they're scoring a C in cybersecurity and what they should do to actually address that. And this is kind of important because most, if you want to go to the detail we show here, where you're talking about impactful issues, this is talking about CVEs and Python and whatever it is. Management team may not speak this language, but they will understand a basic rating of APCT, and they will understand that something needs to be done. Yeah. One thing I didn't show, and were there more questions here? Sorry.
Yeah, I think maybe continue the thought, but I don't want to get you off too much here. But the questions about the discovery engine, the Nanitor discovery engine, sort of just what is that all about, kind of thing.
What is that all about? Okay. So if I go into that, so it's kind of starting here. So, and the Nanitor discovery engine, this is kind of the core to our solution. We have developed this, over the last almost decade now, solution where we actually pull information out of your infrastructure using our agent, using our collectors, and do it in a very non-intrusive, lightweight manner. We only send the deltas to the Nanitor discovery engine, so we keep a context state in there about what's happening in your environment. What we do with the data, we build up a holistic view of your environment, and we compare that to your own technical policy, your own compliance requirements. And with that, we are able to see exactly what these issues that you see here. So what misconfigurations you have, what vulnerabilities we're finding, what security patches are missing, what users are in your environment, if they have too high privileges or what devices are in your environment that should not be there, what services are open, etc. So very comprehensive. And this is all configurable in the engine to your own policy. So what you see here on the screen is, of course, something that's from Nanitor as a guideline, but you can actually go in here and you can configure this. This brings me to this one point here. If you want to look at security configurations, because this is also very fundamental to the cybersecurity process, you need to configure your systems in a way that is considered best practices, so a hardened security configuration. So we support a wide range of these platforms that I showed you before, probably just over 100 platforms. And for each of the platforms, we have rules that we're checking. So this is Windows 10. You can see that I'm actually checking actively in the demo environment. I'm checking 134 rules for each of the Windows systems that I have. We actually have a database here of around 381 rules that we support. Some of them are in your policy, that the engine is considering. Some of them are not in your policy. You can see if they're compliant or not. You can see how many assets out of how many assets are compliant to it. So here you can see this is 100%. So 2 assets out of 2 are compliant to it, but this is a low severity if it's broken. If you go down a bit, you'll see that we have, for example, this one here. That is a Windows rule. It's 50% compliant. So 1 asset out of 2 is compliant. So 1 is not. But this is a critical. So this is something that you should be considering. If I look at any of these, let's say just look at this one and say, what is that? You will see that I have data about what it is. Why am I checking? Why am I checking for this? What is the rationale? How do I fix it? Why is it relevant to me? Is it part of my compliance framework? And in this particular case, this is part of NIST 853. So it might be very relevant to some people. If you disagree for whatever reason with the severity, you can change that. If you disagree with the fact that it should be counted towards your score, you can remove that. But in order to remove that, you need to put in a reason. And we are tracking all changes to the system so that you have a full and complete audit trail. Now, for some other rules, which, for example, this one here, this is actually customizable. Here we can see it applies to some more compliance frameworks, but we can see that this particular rule, which is checking some settings, we can actually change the value of that. So if you want to have that something specific to your organization.
Clearly a lot to this product. I think you've just kind of touched the surface of it in a lot of ways. One of the things that we would remind people that we're more than happy to do one-on-one demos with them to get sort of a custom feel for how this would impact your environment. I also point out that we do provide free vulnerability management audits, as well as free pilots of the product. So I'm going to actually share out the links for those in the chat feature, and definitely take us up on that. Jan, I don't know if were there some other areas?
I just wanted briefly to touch on one more aspect of this, but I'm not trying to go through the full platform, because we have actually, the platform is quite wide, and the coverage is quite wide. But there's one more thing that I want to mention, and that is actually on the reporting sides. So we talked about, the prioritization, which is quite key. We can, of course, integrate with your ticketing systems as well if you want to send this out to that. We have the security configuration that I talked about. We have an complete inventory of your assets, networks, users, software, whatever it is. But I wanted to talk about compliance, and because I touched on the fact that we have some compliance framework support, so that's just such as NIST 853, ISO 27001, PCI, and we can report against those. So in this case, I've actually just opened my compliance issue report, and I'm reporting against what's called the CIS critical security controls. And here you will see the chapter structure of that, and you can see that I have 20 issues in chapter 2, I have 73 in chapter 6. But for some of the people on the call, they may actually be on the webinar, they may actually be interested in, let's say, the NIST 853. So let's go there. Let's change the framework to that, and you can actually see the chapter structure from that particular framework. And you can see that basically in access control, you have 10 issues. In system and information integrity, you have 66 issues. You can actually expand on that to see even further how it actually aligns. And why this is important is because we have done the prioritization. So we know what's your priority 0. We know what is unacceptable in your environment. We know what's P1, which is your compliance requirements. And then we know what's P2, your nice to haves. So you can set your threshold as to what do you want to be compliant with. Do you want to clear out the P0s? And if you have all zeros in your P0, then you may actually be ready for that audit. This is going to help you be ready for the dreaded audit that comes in and wants to actually do some validation of your cybersecurity. There's a lot more to the product. I would love to show you more, but I don't want to bore you too much.
Yeah.
So,
I think the final question I think maybe we could ask is how is it priced? So what is the pricing structure?
Pricing structure is really simple. There's two things I suggest here. So one thing is, and I think that you had hinted at this, Joe, you can go on our website. You can actually have a free trial, and we're happy to support you with that. The free trial actually supports a few devices, and you can try this out. But it's not free forever. So if the pricing itself is standard, it's a per month per asset price. So, and typically it sits around the $2 per month per asset. So that's what it is. Simple. And I think if I go to actually back to the slide that I had. Sorry. Oh, I can't do that.
I did share out the link. So there's the link to pricing, which includes downloading the product, and then also the link for the free vulnerability management audit as well.
Yeah, and I think the main thing about pricing, about what we're doing is, it is, like I said, it's fairly simple. And what it is, and you can see it here. The solution is simple. It's an easy to deploy solution. You can be up and running, within the day. You can have easy asset discovery, so it's easy to actually deploy your agent and discover all of your assets on the network. The remediation is easy because we're providing you with instructions. We're providing you with the service desk integration. We provide a very comprehensive service from our team here. Everything is prioritized. The pricing is easy. It can be as easy as $2 per month per asset.
We have a calculator on our website too that helps you figure that out, which is kind of nice.
I think that's probably it from me. So thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Well, excellent stuff, folks. I just want to thank you for joining us. And like I say, if you do have any questions, I shared out my email address, but certainly you could use this one as well, the sales@nanitor.com. Feel free to go on our website. There's lots of great information out there, lots of blog information. And certainly if you do have any questions or anything that we can help you out with, feel free. So with that, we're going to say, have a great afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are, and look forward to working with you. Thanks so much.
Please be in touch. Thank you.
Take care.